Hello, happy Thursday and welcome to Simon's Trading Channel. Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos. Hope you're all well. Let's get on with the price action analysis. I'm going to start off on the higher time frames and work my way down to the lower time frames, which might seem a bit backwards, but hopefully the logic will become clear as we move through the video. Now, this is a weekly time frame with all of my favorite delicious indicators on. Bollinger Band, RSI at the top, MACD at the bottom. They all kind of say the same thing. Remember, all indicators on TradingView or anywhere else that you choose to look at price action, they're all historical, right? So they all look at previous price action over a fixed period of time and then come up with generally a momentum pivot. The Bollinger Band is probably most well known and probably the best, really, because it's so simple and gives you direction and volatility. So anyway, that's enough of that. Now, as you can see, we're in the third week now of Bitcoin having weekly candles above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band. And what that does to me personally is it brings to within sight a move on a weekly time frame up to about 106, basically the top of where the Bollinger Band is at the moment. Now that may move over time because clearly it's an indicator that moves with price action, but currently it's around, call it 105. So I think 105 is kind of on the cards, really. And that's why I wanted to bring up the weekly to begin with. But the thing is, as I've said in previous videos, and I'll continue to say it, that won't change anything in the grand scheme of things. Because as you can see, in this low, on the weekly time frame, when volatility is low, like here, for example, and like the current price action, price can move significantly within the Bollinger Bands without changing the trend, which is sideways when the Bollinger Bands are narrow. So sideways when the Bollinger Bands are narrow. But the price action can swing rather significantly. So for example, back over here in the end of 2023, that range was somewhere between 25 and 30, right? So $5,000 or 20-ish, 20%. And then back over here towards, sort of summer into the end of 2024, the price was ranging between sort of 55 and 70. So again, significant differences in price, even though on the weekly time frame there was no increase in volatility. So, we'll see. Maybe this move on a weekly time frame will be the one that leads to volatility expansion. And as long as price is then above the midpoint, which is coming in based, just call it 90,000, then that would be an upside move. But until it does that, and that current upper bound is about 105. So what that means is on a weekly time frame, Bitcoin could come all the way up to 105K without expanding weekly volatility. And so that would really be a range play. But anyway, upside for now. You can see that, excuse me, that the MACD has done what it did over here and indeed over here. It's just bounced off the zero line. And while it's above the zero line, I count that as upside momentum, and the trend remains to the upside. Now, let's jump down to the daily time frame. So you can see on the daily time frame that since here, really, which was the 12th of April when price action closed above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, it went sideways for a bit and then it expanded. And it's trying to expand again, still in a relatively low volatility environment on daily time frame, but all the momentum is to the upside. It remains above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band as long as it's above 94, give or take. And so as long as it's closing dailies above 94, then it's way more likely to be upside price action. And depending on what happens with the RSI, there may not even be any bearish divergence. So Bitcoin hasn't pulled back yet, and it looks like the RSI is trying to get higher than these previous readings. So that to me says more price action to the upside on a daily time frame. I'd say the evidence would suggest more upside than downside on a daily time frame at the moment. And I don't think you need the brains of an archbishop to figure that one out. All right, here's the 4 hour. Now, the 4 hour did consolidate for a good long period. It tried to break out there, didn't, close back below the Bollinger Band, didn't increase volatility to the downside, just went sideways, getting support around this sort of 93-ish area. Moved back to the top of the Bollinger Band, and then just yesterday, in fact, closed a 4 hour candle, basically kind of above that range, and now it looks like its volatility is expanding to the upside again. Is there any bearish divergence forming on a 4 hour? Not yet, no, not in my opinion. The MACD's to the upside. The trend remains to the upside, so likely more upside on this 4 hour as well. Obviously, there's going to be a pullback at some point. And, 100K is a psychological number that many people, let's say, who bought at 75, those savvy people who did that doesn't include me. I got back into my trade for a long, show you now. Here, which I showed you all, so 87. But the people who bought down here at 75 with their strategies, that's not my strategy, but their strategy would clearly be 25% up around about 100K. So, taking some profit off the table would be very reasonable at that sort of psychological 100,000 mark, having made 25% profit. That's not going to apply to everyone. It's certainly not going to apply to long-term holders. And so, we'll see what happens. But pulling back from 100K seems like it may occur, but I have to say that all of the momentum indicators that I look at wouldn't suggest that at this point in time. But we'll see, because everything changes on a daily basis with Bitcoin and, with all the geopolitics that are going on, which cause crazy price action. Although not so crazy, to be honest, apart from when they were announced, which was, I think, wasn't it the 4th of April, somewhere around there? Or maybe it was the 7th. When was that? Liberation Day again. Yeah, it was around here, I think. I can't remember. First week of April, call it. There's a bit of a dip down, put in a double bottom, and then it's basically moved onwards and upwards since then. So has Bitcoin been massively affected by all the tariff turmoil? Not that I can see, but we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. All right, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, please like and subscribe and join me next time for another one of my videos on Simon's Trading Channel. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.